Hey, welcome to this week's at Ping. Thanks for clicking on and checking it out. Let's get to it. First one is coming from somebody who calls themselves Middle-Aged Moto Revivalist. Says, let me start by saying I love the column and the fact that you take time to answer fans' questions. Also, the Whiskey Throttle show is outstanding. Thank you, thank you. I'm getting back into the sport after 10 years completely away from riding. My question is, should a 250F be enough bike for me, or should I go back 450? I'm 34 years old, 6'2", and I weigh 230 pounds. When I hung things up to start my family, I was riding a 08 CRF 450 and a solid C-Class rider. Thanks in advance for any pointers. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Middle-Aged Moto Revivalist. So normally when guys are getting back into riding or starting out, even if they're up to 200 pounds, I usually steer them towards a 250. You know, it's just it's a much more friendly bike. There's so much torque on these things now that you don't really need all that horsepower, but at 230, 6'3", man, I mean, with your build, you're a 450 guy, and we probably just need to lean into that. The fact that you've ridden a 450 before makes me a little more comfortable, you know, encouraging you to get another one. And honestly, any one of them would be great. All the bikes right now are so good. That's a big plus for us as a sport right now. There's not a lot of bad machines out there. And like I said, I would normally tell you, hey, get on a 250. I think you'll be able to ride it longer, have more fun, be in a little bit more control. But yeah, you're a big boy. Reminds me of that old saying, something about a monkey and a football. I can't quite remember how it goes, but anyway, 450 is your deal. So I would say focus on suspension. I chuckle to myself when guys buy these new 450s and get motor work done and exhaust, and it's like, dude, there's way too much horsepower in this thing as it is. Focus on getting your suspension squared away for yourself, whether that's just springs or if you need valving or whatever. I think, like I said, a lot of the stock ones are good. You just get a good valving setup, a good spring rate and a good setting on it. And the stock stuff, you can make it work pretty well. So check out some of our videos that we've done on some of the new bikes. We give you good settings to start off with there, our race spec videos. So depending on what bike you get, check those out, and maybe we can help you out there. Best of luck. Thanks for sending in a letter, man. Appreciate it. Second one, Ping, I enjoy your column and the interviews on the Whiskey Throttle show. It was good. It's good to teach the young listeners that there was motocross before 1990. I was at Scott Burnworth's last race at Kauai and was sitting there working on my RMZ 450 when I got into a discussion with the elderly gentleman pitted next to me, although he was probably younger than me because I'm 65 and been riding for 55 years. We were talking about the Suzuki. He told me the reason why the Suzuki development has stopped is that Suzuki is half owned by General Motors, and when GM's market share falters, there's no money given to Suzuki for development. Makes sense to me. That's the tight-lipped reason Suzuki doesn't give a reason why they aren't working on updating the bikes. Have you heard this theory? Mike. No, haven't heard that theory, and it's not accurate. You can just do a quick search on that and see that at a point GM did own about 20% of Suzuki, but Suzuki owned 15% of General Motors. There's a lot of sharing that goes on between those car makers. You know, developing and building a new car is incredibly expensive. So oftentimes they'll partner and work together to build things and stuff like that. Look at the Kawasaki Suzuki collaboration with the first 250F that they built. Same theory. You just split some of that R&D cost and some of the development costs. So that was what was going on there. That's why GM was involved. That's since backed out from 20% down to like 3%. Suzuki kind of went hunting for Land Rover and other companies to help partner with. But they really controlled like the small SUV market. Remember the Suzuki Samurai? For small little niches of the country, that car was hugely popular, and they sold a lot of them. And once Honda and some of these other car companies started coming in with economy-sized SUVs that competed with it, it really put the hurt on Suzuki. And as a result, and I think this is more of the reason why there isn't more budget for Suzuki's motorcycle division, is that Suzuki's car division is faltering. I mean, they pulled out of the U.S. completely. Their sales have diminished in total. So I think that's probably it. If the auto division is not making good money, then the budget cuts are going to come company-wide. And so I've got my fingers crossed that they can pull it together. The biggest thing that scares me is that there used to be a really good back and forth between American Suzuki and Suzuki of Japan. Talking to the folks that work over there, that's guys that used to test bikes for them. There was just really good communication. If they wanted something different on a bike, if they needed support for amateur racing or for whatever it was, Suzuki of Japan was pretty quick to respond and usually took good care of them. And that's not been the case in recent years. So let's hope that that's just a trend. Let's hope that turns around. Maybe the whoever gets tasked with turning Suzuki around is a racing fan and starts allocating some budget towards that. Because really, at the end of the day, from what I've seen, that really dictates a lot of how these companies, how we see it in the motocross field, is whether or not those COOs like racing. If racing is a passion for them, they'll spend the money there. If it's not, they don't. Bottom line. So fingers crossed for them, but sure doesn't look great right now. Okay, last one is coming from Rudy. He says, Ping, I've heard Wil Hahn is leaving Star Yamaha. Is there problems over there we don't know about? Seems like he's been involved during some very successful years, and his departure seems weird. Thanks for the insight, Rudy. Look, people love juicy, gossipy stories. They think there's got to be something more to this. It's really exactly what Will has come out and I think said already, is that Star Racing Yamaha is moving out of California into Florida, and he doesn't want to go. I think that he enjoys that job, but I think that the training thing, he wants to be a trainer. I think that's something that appeals to him. He's wanted to try it. He's recently engaged, and I got to imagine his fiance lives out here. They've got some roots. Just from him living here and friends and everybody else, they're here. And he'd be starting all over to go out there, and I think that's bumming him out. And this opportunity came up to be the team trainer for Gas TLD team, and he's jumping on it, so he'll be working with all those guys, and he's got some friends that work in that business, in the training business, and Will's a sharp kid. He trains his butt off. He's a hard worker. Kiss is a guy who's won a championship. He kind of knows what to do. He'll be able to help these guys quite a bit, and Will is just a fun, good dude to have around. I think he's an asset wherever he goes, so those guys will love to have him, and over there at TLD. And yeah, there's no story behind it. It's not like he's not getting along at Star. I mean, shoot, they've won pretty much every year that he's been there. They've won some championship. He just doesn't want to move to Florida, so understandable to not want to leave home. Hey, thanks for all the questions, you guys. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, you can send a video in of you asking your own question, and we'll get it answered on here. Either way, thanks for coming in. See ya.